Welcome to this brief presentation on the Securities Industry Essentials Exam, or SIE as it's often referred to. This SIE is generating a great deal of interest and excitement both inside the securities industry and outside the industry. There are major changes coming in the way that individuals will prepare for a career in the financial services industry. And so this is going to be especially of interest to individuals who currently work in the industry but don't have a registration. You'll be able to advance your career perhaps by taking the SIE. It's also going to be of interest to recent college graduates or college students currently who are interested in working for a Wall Street firm, or career changers, somebody who's interested in changing their job and perhaps getting into investment banks or brokerage or insurance firms. And also it'll be interesting for individuals who are outside the United States who want to learn more about the U.S. securities industry or possibly work in that securities industry. So let's get started and learn a little bit more about what the SIE is and how it's going to work. In this presentation, we're going to start off talking about what the SIE is, and then we're going to talk about what FINRA is. The SIE is a FINRA exam, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority. They're the ones who are creating this exam. They're the ones who are responsible for registering individuals who want to sell securities or who want to be investment bankers, a number of other positions within the securities industry. So we'll talk a little bit about what FINRA is. We're also going to look at the restructuring of FINRA exams that's taking place. And this is where the SIE is really at the center of this restructuring. We'll look briefly at the content of the SIE, what's going to be covered in the exam, why you should consider taking the SIE, how you can take the exam, and when it's going to become available. So let's get started. First thing we want to know is, what is the SIE? Okay, this is a proposed new exam, as I mentioned, a new FINRA exam that's really going to revolutionize the way that individuals qualify to work in the securities industry. So we'll just stop here for a moment. If you want to sell securities, for example, you want to work for a brokerage firm and sell securities, you're going to need to be registered with FINRA in order to do that. And part of the registration process is going to be passing an exam. Okay, that whole process, that whole exam process is going to be changing, and the SIE is really at the center of this change. So as I mentioned, the SIE is an exam created by the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA. We're going to talk more about FINRA in a moment here. The SIE is going to become a prerequisite for the securities examinations that I mentioned before. If you want to sell securities, for example, part of that registration process is to take the Series 6 or Series 7 exam. Series 7, probably one of the best known. There are many other securities registrations that FINRA offers and that FINRA requires for individuals to function in the securities industry. And the SIE is going to be a prerequisite for all of these examinations on the registered representative level. And this is the biggest change. The SIE is going to be open to anyone. Anyone, anywhere in the world, will be able to take this examination beginning in the first part of 2018. So what is FINRA? Well, briefly, FINRA is the self-regulatory body responsible for the oversight of financial firms operating in the United States. Now, many of you may be familiar with the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission. That is the federal regulator. Think of them as setting the law. Okay, they also have oversight over the industry. There are a number of state regulators as well who have oversight over the industry within their state. But FINRA is actually self-regulatory. In other words, it's the industry regulating itself on a day-to-day basis. Now, it's required that firms that sell securities to members of the public in the United States, these firms need to be FINRA member firms. They have to become part of FINRA and have to abide by FINRA's laws, rules, regulations. Okay? The SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, of course, is overseeing the industry as a whole, but on a day-to-day basis, FINRA is the self-regulatory body. Now, let's say I'm an individual who wants to work in the industry. Well, the way it's currently set up, you have to be sponsored by a member firm in order to register with FINRA. So once again, I want to work for a brokerage firm, I want to sell securities. Well, anybody walking down the street can't sell securities. You can only sell securities if you work for a member firm and are sponsored by that firm. The firm will sponsor you, and then you're going to take whatever exam you need in order to sell the securities to members of the public. And we'll look at some of those different exams here in a moment. Okay? But of course, the big change here is going to be that anyone will be able to take the SIE, which will become a prerequisite for these other securities registrations. So individuals who are selling securities, or investment bankers who are listing companies, who are bringing IPOs to the markets, securities analysts, operations professionals. These are all individuals who are required to be registered, and the SIE will be a prerequisite for all of these different registrations. So let's look a little bit at this restructuring of FINRA exams. The SIE is going to have between 75 and 100 questions. It hasn't been determined yet, but FINRA is saying between 75 and 100 questions. And the SIE will be a prerequisite to take other top-off exams. So we mentioned before the Series 7. Well, before I can take the Series 7 top-off exam, I'm going to need to take the SIE first. The total questions for the SIE plus the top-off exam are going to be similar to the existing exams. So right now, for example, let's say you want to take the Series 7. The Series 7, or General Securities Representative, okay, this is the exam required to register as a General Securities Representative, is 250 questions. So what's going to happen in the future is that the SIE will be 100 questions, and then you take the Series 7 top-off of 150 questions. So you see here that it's the same number of questions, but it's really been broken up into two sections. The SIE, that anyone can take, and then the Series 7 top-off, which will still require that you be affiliated with a U.S. broker-dealer. Now, let's keep in mind here that foreign banks doing business in the United States are typically going to be members of FINRA. So Deutsche Bank from Germany, for example, or Bank Santander from Spain, you name it, bank that's doing business in the United States, they're going to become FINRA members, and they will sponsor the individuals who are selling securities, investment bankers, so on and so forth, working in the U.S. or working with U.S. customers. Now, although the top-off exams are still going to require sponsorship, as we said before, the SIE is going to be open to anyone. Key point here. College student, somebody who wants to change careers, somebody working overseas, or somebody who's working in the industry and who simply wants to advance their career by having the SIE as part of their resume. So we mentioned this is all part of the restructuring of FINRA exams. I think you're probably getting a pretty good idea of what's happening here. The SIE is going to really be in the middle. Here's the prerequisite for a variety of other exams. So the Series 7 exam, as we mentioned before, is required to register as a General Securities Representative. These are going to be individuals who are selling a wide variety of securities, stocks, bonds, options, limited partnerships, things of that nature. The Series 6 is a limited registration for individuals who are only selling mutual funds or variable insurance products. So you're going to have individuals working for securities firms selling mutual funds, as well as insurance companies that are selling securities such as variable annuities or variable life insurance policies. The Series 99 is for operations professionals. These are individuals who work in what used to be referred to as the back office, handling the trading and settlement of securities. Series 82 is for individuals selling private placements, You may be familiar, for example, with venture capital and things of that nature. They're only selling securities to institutional investors here primarily. The 86 and 87 are the registrations required to be a research analyst working for an investment bank. The Series 79 for an investment banker. The Series 22, this is another limited registration where you're only able to sell limited partnerships and other what are called direct participation programs. And the Series 57, which is for equity traders, individuals actually working on a trading desk who are executing the orders to buy or sell a wide variety of securities there. So here are the 8 securities registrations for individuals, a wide variety of exams here, and the common ground is that all of them will first need to take the SIE before they take their top-off exam. So what's going to be on the SIE? Well, what FINRA basically did was they looked at all those exams and they said, what is common to all these exams? How can we consolidate all of that information into one exam? So that will be the prerequisite for the others, the Series 7 or 57, 79, what have you. So first is going to be a section covering the knowledge of securities and the risks of those securities. So we're going to look at equity or stocks, debt, bonds, packaged products such as mutual funds, limited partnerships, as I mentioned, derivatives such as options. So that'll be one part of the test. Another part will be general knowledge of the capital markets. What's the market structures? How do exchanges work? What do you have to do when you set up a customer account? How are securities traded? What are some of the economic factors that influence securities markets? The actions of the Federal Reserve, for example. And, of course, what are some prohibited practices that would be illegal, that would be violations of securities rules and laws here in the United States? Finally, an overall knowledge of securities regulation. Federal regulations, these are, of course, generally handled by the SEC, a little bit about state regulation, and then, of course, the self-regulatory organizations. In addition to FINRA, we have the MSRB, which self-regulates municipal securities, and the OCC, the Option Clearing Corporation, which regulates options. So now let's look at how you can take the exam and what you'll need to do so. The exam is scheduled to be released in the first quarter of 2018. Okay, so we imagine that a lot of people are going to start preparing to take this exam sometime over the summer and fall of 2017. To register for the exam, an individual will need to register with FINRA, and they're going to file a form referred to as a U-10. Once this becomes active, once FINRA has released the exam and so on and so forth, then they will have information about how to register. And we here at Securities Training Corporation will also have that information and will provide it to you and everyone who registers with us to receive ongoing information concerning the SIE. So, the exam is going to come out in 2018. You're going to register with FINRA to take the exam, but you're going to need STC to help you to pass that exam. Securities Training Corporation is the leading exam prep company in the financial service industry. We've been doing this work since 1969. We work with all of the major firms in the securities industry in the United States. We also work with individuals overseas in preparing them to pass these examinations. So we have a lot of experience in this. We understand how these exams are written. We understand the concepts. Now, although the official outline has not yet been approved, we have seen the proposed outline, and we've actually started putting our materials together. And here's what they're going to look like. We're going to have study guides, both online study guides as well as paper study guides. We'll have online practice exams, a large number of practice exams, a lot of questions that you're going to be able to go through, and these questions are going to be very similar to the ones that you're going to see on the SIE to prepare you for that exam. We'll also be offering flashcards and a variety of different courses. We have some live courses depending on where you're located. We also have virtual courses which are done via WebEx, And then we record these courses and offer them as on-demand courses. So you're going to have all the things that you're going to need, all the tools that you're going to need to pass this exam once it becomes available. So be sure to register with STC to receive updates on the SIE, sample materials, and much more. You'll see there are some boxes to fill out on the SIE website with your name and your email address. And if you'd be kind enough to fill that out, we will make sure that you receive any updates that we put out and keep you up to date on what's happening in the development of the SIE once the SIE is released. And we'll be sending you out sample materials that'll show you how we're going to be teaching this material, how we're going to be addressing it, and a lot more. So thank you very much for your time and attention. We really appreciate this. Be sure to register. And in the summer or fall of 2017, we look forward to hearing from you again and helping you to pass the exam once it becomes available in the beginning part of 2018. So thanks once again, and best of luck in your future career in the securities industry.